Okay.
go.
So, welcome to a new era of SIC Talks, everybody. This is episode number 101. After, let's call it a summer break, I am returning in a new vehicle via Substack Live. I'm here with Mark Boutilier, who is a relatively recent acquaintance and new friend, but also somebody whose career I followed a little bit before we knew each other. He is a person who creates content on multiple social platforms, who speaks to, let's call it broadly speaking, of fashion and menswear space, who entertains through comedy analysis and access, and just generally seems like a good vibe. So when I met him in person, I was just like, oh, this guy seems cool. Let's shoot the shit a little bit. And then when the series came back up, I was like, it'd be fun to talk to Mark at some point. Then I got an update that you're releasing a collaboration on Friday with Cueva out in Greenpoint, which is right around the corner from my house. And I was like, okay, now we've got something to talk about, something to promote. Let's get into it. What's up, Mark? How are you?
I'm good. How are you? You did a very good introduction of making my silly videos sound a lot more important and serious, so I appreciate it.
Well, I think you're the kinds of videos you make, if not the ones you particularly make, are the currency of today's media ecosystem, right? Even news organizations are trying to figure out, how do I make short, clippy reports from the scene, and translate, speak to the audience in the voice that they speak to each other. And I mean, how did you get started in this whole thing?
I mean, there was time before like 2020, but during like COVID quarantine kind of era, I was finishing up college. I was like on my very last semester, living at home. I went to school like 15 minutes away, so I just commuted,
Okay.
and I just had all this free time. And like, I guess right before that, I was doing like some sort of like YouTube kind of stuff with like a buddy. We had like this like kind of brand thing that never really panned out, and we would
What kind
just,
of brand was it?
it was, I guess, like streetwear, but we never released anything. Like we literally just were like hand screen printing and like dyeing stuff and just like trying different things to see like what would like kind of work.
Right.
Uh, Clearly
So it was
nothing
your
did.
version of your version of Cardiac research
Yeah,
for
that's a very loose, maybe more like I don't even know what to describe it as. It's just like glorified Etsy shop in a sense, but
right. Yeah, sure. It's a
regardless,
pandemic business.
yeah, we were just trying different stuff. But once 2020 happened and like I was kind of like stuck at home, like had all this free time, people were kind of like urging me to get on TikTok. And like, I mean, I'm 27 now. I was like 22-ish then, which sounds like not like super old, but I feel like early TikTok was like really, really young.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
Well, coming out of Musical.ly, like it's 8-year-olds dancing, right? So
yeah. So like I kind of had to like get over that hump of like it being weird at my age to like go on and like put myself out there in that way.
Mhm.
But for whatever reason, I did so like relatively quick and like started posting frequently, like literally 3 times a day because I just had that much free time and like boredom.
No strategy at that point. That was just a
No strategy. Yeah. I
pure
mean, it started
opportunity.
as like I would do like little fit checks like outside, literally in like the front yard of my like parents' house.
That's
And then
amazing.
it wasn't until like later on that I discovered that like because the audience like leaned younger, you could kind of like say things like satirically or like as a joke and like everyone would believe you and it would just like run up the engagement. And so like at the time I was just like messing around like, oh, this is like a funny little joke. Like I'm on this like silly app making silly videos, whatever. And it wasn't until like maybe however many so months like went by where I was like, I kind of am like building something. And like, while
Yeah.
it is like kind of like silly and like most people like aren't really, I'm getting a bunch of hate comments because I'm like saying stupid things that, are meant to like kind of, I guess now rage bait would be the term. But
Yeah, sure.
um,
Troll people.
yeah. And it wasn't until like later on where I was like, like maybe I can like pivot this if I wanted to.
Well, it's so interesting. I had an experience when I was in college, and I started writing for what was the school entertainment magazine, and I wrote the little like style society column largely because just it didn't exist, and I was like, I want to do that. So I did it, and I would put things in there occasionally that were, I thought, very obviously satirical,
Mm,
and people would take them very seriously because they were in print. Like it was like, okay, by virtue of the fact that this was published, it must be true,
yeah.
and they didn't detect the satire at all. I find it interesting that you found the same thing through video. Like if it's on video, it's factual, or at least it was at that time. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of a remarkable thing.
And I kind of played into it as long as I could until like it was sort of. I mean, I can still sometimes get away with it. If something goes like kind of viral, it goes on to like at that point, Facebook page and stuff like that. Like that's like all sorts of confusion about whatever you're posting. But
Right.
yeah, I kind of did that for a while, and then like eventually, I guess like the turning point was I had John Carmonica from the New York Times. He reached out, and I thought I was getting like pranked or something because I didn't do any paid gigs or like do any sort of like anything up until this point. And he wound up like writing this article about me and like a few other like friends of mine who were also making videos at the time.
Sure.
And I had to like explain to my parents that we had like New York Times photographers coming to our home to like shoot me.
That's amazing.
And
How did Caramonica get put into it? John and I go back many, many years to when we were both, like at the start of our careers. I think working at writing, like contributing to the Fader or whatever. But like, how did he find you? Was that through like a James and Lawrence thing, or was there something else
I
at
think
work?
he's just like extremely tapped in. Like at this point, James and Lawrence didn't know who I was either. Like
Oh,
I
okay,
was.
gotcha. Okay,
I mean, maybe they did, but like I hadn't like gone on throwing fits or like done anything like that. Um, and so like I have no idea. I mean, I just wound up getting on a FaceTime. Like at the time, I also like didn't know who he was, which obviously knowing now he's like a legend. And like
yeah, sure.
at the time, I'm just like, who is this New York Times guy reaching out to me? And like, am I getting scammed right now? So
Why hasn't he ever published this Kanye book that he's alleged to be writing? That sort of thing. Yeah, no, I
yeah,
gotcha.
but nevertheless, like that kind of like was the turning point. I mean, for one, I had to like explain to my parents what it was that I've been doing this whole time, like kind of behind their backs, because like I wasn't gonna be like, hey, I'm making TikToks, but
Well, what? Okay, so what path were you supposed to have been on up to that point?
I was just getting a marketing degree, and like I
Okay,
wanted to work in fashion, but also like, I mean, when I was sort of like going through college, like in my head, I was like, yes, I can like move to New York when I'm done and like hope for the best, but I don't have like any leads. I don't have any like real connections out there.
sure.
Um, I'm getting this marketing degree, and like professors are saying there's like a 90% chance that you're just going to work like a random sales job. And I'm like, that kind of sucks. I don't necessarily want to do that. Um, and so like I was kind of almost starting to like come to like, I was almost like starting to like accept that a little bit. Like
Sure.
this is probably going to be my fate. And then it kind of just, I don't know.
So okay, so that is also to say that you've never had a quote unquote real job, right? Like you've never been on payroll, you've never had the health insurance, you've never had the HR training, any of
I've
those
never
things.
had health insurance, and I told you about the dentist
Oh
today.
yeah.
I'm not excited for that. Not to get too far away from the conversation, but I chipped a molar,
Oh
which
no.
I discovered that crowns are like nearly $2,800 out of pocket, and no
Yeah.
insurance. So
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. I mean, not for nothing. Like your image is your brand in a lot of respects. I would say this is. I mean, it's definitely a tax write off. B, it's an investment in your future. I have these two teeth right here are crowns that I've had for 35 years. So you're making an investment in a durable asset. Like just
yeah,
you'll be fine. You'll be fine. I know it's going to hurt, but you'll be all right.
not the
And then
ideal time, yeah, for it to happen.
well, and I'm sure you've got like there's a Grailed marketplace or something like that that's like a slush fund that sort of delivers like an annuity to help you fund stuff. That is actually an interesting question. How much do you have to consume, be it like at retail, at vintage, at auction, or even just like through, let's call it showroom visits or whatever, to be current in this, you know, role that you have or that
Well,
you've
like a
made
lot
for
of
yourself, really.
yeah, like a lot of my early content I feel like revolved around like thrifting and like vintage stuff. And so like very early on it was like mostly like cheaper clothes that I was like purchasing. And it wasn't until like I mentioned with that article, like after that I slowly started getting like PR and stuff, like
Sure.
started from like smaller brands and then kind of like domino effect from there. There was definitely a period which I think a lot of creators kind of have this period. Like I've noticed like people have kind of came after me and like even like friends of mine now where like you're only wearing like PR stuff, which
Mhm.
because it's like you're getting free clothes and you're so excited about it and you're like, oh, like I never
Yeah,
have to buy clothes again. This is awesome. Um, and then I feel like once you get to the other side of it, you're like, okay, like yes, there's like cool brands sending me stuff and like some of this is my style, but like sometimes the fit's off, sometimes it's like the right brand but the wrong product. And like now I'm like kind of like a walking billboard of just like new
sure.
arrivals. Um, and like you just kind of lose your like sense of personal style a little bit with that, which also I think kind of alienates you from your actual audience, which I
Yeah.
also didn't want to happen. Because everyone's like following me for these like thrifting videos and for like, me finding random stuff that I enjoy, not like brands sending me a $400 sweater that no one, can necessarily relate to.
That the audience isn't accessible to the audience. How do you? One of the things that I've really enjoyed about your social presence over the last, well, I don't know how long you've been doing this, but I've encountered it within the last month or so. Is like reposting old fit pics from decades past, right? And so you see the eras of Mark's style going. Um, is that is that an acknowledgement at all that like you're still figuring it out, or is that a self-deprecating look at what a dumbass I was, or is that a like instructional to kids going like you think you're locked in now, but actually things are going to change? Like, what's the thought process there? Because I find it very charming.
I don't know if there even is one. I feel like that's like the theme
Yeah,
with a lot of my content is that like there kind of almost never has been like a super calculated thought process. And like that even goes beyond to like if a brand reaches out and they like want to do a video and then they want me to like complete this sort of like whatever they call it, where you basically like put in writing what the video that you're going to make for them. And it's like, I don't
yeah,
super
the
know
treatment, so to
because
speak.
yeah, it's like sometimes I have the idea like beforehand, but a lot of times I'm like kind of operating on like how I'm feeling that day, like, and just like making a video like sort of in the moment. Like I don't really have drafts. I don't know, like a lot of it's like not very calculated, which, um, I kind of like it that way. Like I don't, it doesn't feel as much like a job when you're kind of just like doing it off
Yeah,
of like, sort of where your head's at the
yeah.
time. It's
One
like,
one okay, so for those tuning in for the first time, Sick Talks is ostensibly a companion conversation to this newsletter that I publish every week, which is like a big compendium of links. And what I ask my guests to do is just take a look through the links ahead of time and identify a few that jump out to them. So Mark, we'll do that in just a second. But this thread got something going in my mind which relates to a link that's in the newsletter this week, and that is a post called it's War Machine meets Dolor Silentium. I think I'm saying that correctly, which is an Instagram account that is posts AI generated anime like fanfic type images. In that interview, and this gets to my question, in that interview, the creator behind Dolor Silentium says you have to post as much as possible to feed the algorithm. You will never know what goes viral. And so your responsibility as a creator is just to keep posting all the time. Where's your experience land? Is that true? Did it used to be true, but it's not true anymore? Is it more true now? Do you not care and you just kind of do the things that make you feel good? Like, how do you view that whole dynamic?
I feel like, I mean, I see a lot of, content like that where it's like tips and tricks and this, that, and the other, how to go viral. And it's like, I feel like it's different for every single account. And it's like,
Hmm.
it's different for me now than it was 5 years ago or 2 years ago or 6 months ago, really.
Yeah, for sure.
And so, like, there's not really like a rhyme or reason. But I think when you put out a ton of content, which obviously, like I said, that when I first started, I was posting 3 times a day, like, it's easy to burn yourself out. And like, I
Well,
definitely,
that was what occurred to me reading that
yeah.
comment. I was just like, that sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah, I thought it wouldn't happen to me. Like I feel like early on I was like, "Oh no, like it's just making videos, like it's fine." But definitely like this past year, I feel like there's been like a lot of like weeks where I don't post like hardly at all. And it's not like lack of effort. It's like I'm just genuinely like there's just nothing. Like I'm sitting every day like what video am I going to make and it's just like not really there.
Not coming to you. So how do you, I mean, A, does that have a negative effect or a positive effect with on your relationship with the audience? Do they get bummed? Do they leave en masse? Do they demand stuff? Do they wait patiently? Like, how does that typically work?
I mean, I think that's like somewhat of the worry. It's like social media moves so fast that like I know I have an audience that really, like likes my stuff and like cares about me and like, I meet people in New York that are coming up and saying nice things about like my videos and this and the other, which in some ways like I don't even know if all my videos are reaching them because like obviously the algorithm also like doesn't necessarily reward someone who's not posting as consistently. So I mean, there's a lot of other things, like even, Instagram just started this repost feature thing, which I feel like since that started, like in general, all of my engagement has been going like kind of down.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
yeah, and I'm sure it'll go back up with like some other random feature. It's like,
Do you, is that because you're not reposting? Is that because other people aren't reposting you? Is that because, I don't know what, somebody else is just reposting so much that it's sucking all the air out? Do you have any sense of why that is?
well, the feature is basically like it's already existing on TikTok, but it's basically like you click the repost button, and then like say you make a video, I click repost. It's now gonna like show it to some of my followers and kind of like acknowledge that it's like showing from me, and then it also lives on my profile like under like a repost category where you can see like all of them. Um, but yeah,
But you didn't answer my question, which is why is your engagement going down? Is it because you're not doing that or because other people aren't doing that?
I think it's the lack of other people reposting.
Okay,
But
got it.
the thing too is
So,
that like
right. So then this is the challenge is that it forces you to be like, okay, how do I adjust my style so more people will repost, or do I wait it out because this is a feature and it's temporary and some other feature will come later?
And that's the other thing is like even like Aiden, my girlfriend, like she doesn't have the feature yet. So not
Shout
everyone
out to
even has
Aiden.
the
Shout
feature.
out Aiden.
Yeah, I think I saw
Shout
her
out Aiden.
so. But yeah, I don't think everybody has the feature. So it's like, how can I be like getting all these reposts when like not everyone even can?
For sure. I mean, I asked the question not to even probe, but because I'm literally unfamiliar, and maybe that's because I'm old as hell, but maybe it's because
You
it's
might not
not
even have
available to me yet. Yeah, exactly.
that.
Yeah, I just feel like you sit in such an interesting space is why I wanted to talk to you. But you sit in such an interesting space because you are on the one hand like the algorithm is your opportunity, on the other hand, the algorithm is your anchor, and navigating that and feeling good about it wherever you are along that continuum has got to be a really interesting kind of challenge. We're talking ostensibly also because you have a collaboration coming out this Friday with Quava or at Quava with Maximum Henry, the New York-based leather goods brand. Um, what aside from that, because I want to talk about that in a second, but like aside from that, what else do you do? Do you act as a behind the scenes consultant? Are you a I don't know what like music composer? Do you cut people's hair? Like what else do you do besides this to like keep your head screwed on straight?
I think that's the thing is right now it kind of is mostly just the videos. It,
Okay.
like so like my main source of income, and that's kind of like what people tend to ask is like doing like the paid partnership, like Mark X
Sure.
eBay, Mark X Puma, Mark X whatever. So like other than that, like I don't even necessarily get money off of like streams. Like YouTube, I guess there's like some monetization, but like I'm not as consistent over there anyways.
Yeah.
So like mainly that's the only source of income. I've done like some consulting, but not really like just like really one off. Like that's something I'm like
Do you want
interested
to do
in.
more?
Yeah, yeah. I think that's interesting. I think it's hard to legitimize, especially like me being I guess I'm not like that young at this point, but I feel like still like being like kind of the goofy TikTok guy, but then also like being like, oh, but I can actually like help your business.
Yeah. Well, we got a couple of. I mean, I've just been watching the folks that are watching. Shout out everybody who's in the live stream. There are a couple of pretty progressive and interesting marketers listening in right now. So, guys, Mark's
Let me
open for
know.
business. Open for business. I'm happy to introduce you. Just hit me up. But the I guess the question, or to my mind, the fact that you are the goofy TikTok guy in some conception. Um, is interesting because you can either lean into that or you can sort of say, hey guys, that's the character.
Mm,
And Mark in a meeting is more serious or more measured or less expressive or whatever the phase of it. So, which is the question is, to what extent is your on-air personality 100% Mark, and how much of it is like a conception or a character or whatever?
I mean, I definitely put on like I have like a speaking to a camera voice, and like that's
Sure.
something that I think a lot of people
Your
have.
radio DJ voice.
But I think otherwise, like, I mean, even going back to the point of like in a meeting, like I would argue that like, the people in a business meeting are probably goofier than what they're presenting themselves like in that meeting. Uh,
Let's hope so, because meetings without people like that are terrible.
yeah, so it's like I think for me, it is like mostly like being myself and like making the content that I want to make, and like I'm not going to make something that I'm like blatantly not interested in. And so like yeah, like I think a lot of people like kind of put on a little bit of something for the internet, and like maybe that's good to do to a certain degree, but also like I try to just kind of post on my own like accord without thinking about it.
Well, it needs to be at the end of the day, because you are making pronouncements about some of the things that you're, let's call it reviewing or whatever. If there isn't like an imprimatur of authenticity, people will just be like, "Oh, this is just a piss take," or "He's just bullshitting," or "This is just it's a troll," or whatever, right?
Yeah. And like early on, yeah, a lot of my takes like were just like trying to get a rise, and like sometimes I still do it, but I think people kind of understand like when it's satirical. I mean, sometimes they don't, but that's also like what satire is in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I I thought you were all satire until I saw you walk in the streets in the 10-foot long jeans, and then I was like, "No, he's about it."
Yeah, I don't have those anymore unfortunately, but
So, for those who aren't familiar, you should look this up. There's salvage jeans that are literally 10 feet long, and they're watching Mark put them on is fantastic, really fun.
every year Naked and Famous does like a April Fool's Day thing, and so that was like
Oh,
something
is that what it is? Okay, got it. Okay,
yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, and they had like a limited like 24-hour pre-order. I think I was one of like 20 people that actually ordered. Kind of stupid, but it's kind of cool that they actually made it.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think you have to get down or lay down, right? Like if you're gonna say you're doing the thing, you got to do the thing now, even if the thing is like patently ridiculous. The era of fake products. Fake products live on SNL, and anything that is advertised as real has to be real. All right, well, listen. Let's get to the list this week. What jumped out at you among the stories that I sent?
If I'm being completely transparent, I don't know if I got all the stories.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, definitely possible, right? Like, this is the
Yeah.
news format for me, and so if things didn't come through, yeah, I sent an email that got it going. But let's just talk about. Let's get into something that is a little style based that I think be interesting to get in with you. That is boy skirts for one, boy skirts for all. This is the Articles of Interest podcast doing the history of men in skirts. Are you familiar with Avery? You're familiar with Avery Trufelman and her series Articles of Interest?
I do not think so.
Okay. So Avery is a fashion journalist, podcaster, who does a really excellent series called Articles of Interest, which is both a newsletter and a podcast.
Mhm.
And this current one talks about the declaration a couple of years ago that men wear skirts now,
Mhm.
and then interrogating the fact that actually men, depending on whether you're in Scotland or you're in New Zealand or wherever, have theoretically worn like non-closed leg lower garments for years. I guess the question that I have about that is, what do you when you're presented with a challenge like wear a skirt
Mhm.
or whatever the case is, I don't know, does it strike you as a fun thing to experience for the first time, or does it strike you as like, I don't know what, like an empty provocation? Do you have an opinion about this? Like, it's like the
Yeah.
10-foot jeans. It's like, okay, now you've worn the 10-foot jeans, now put on a skirt type thing.
Yeah. I mean, like, definitely. I mean, for one, I think that like a skirt is like, it can be like something that's like kind of, I guess, like jarring, but it can also be something that like I don't know, like my friend Tanner who works at Tom Brown, like that's like a much different thing, something that's like maybe not as maybe like someone who isn't like into fashion would be like, "What are you wearing?" But I think like there are kind of like men's skirts that are a little bit more I don't want to say accepted, but like you kind of know what I mean. Like
Well, they're part of a Tom Brown code, right? Like that's
yeah,
a recognizable code, same as the ankle shorts and the or ankle pants and the you know no sock clicky
yeah.
loafer clicky brogue thing.
And there was certainly like a period of time like on like kind of like the For You page sort of streetwear styling where it's like the baggy jeans with like the gigantic pleated skirt or like the plaid sort of like tartan skirt over, which I thought was like I think ASAP Rocky was the one that like maybe kind of popped out in that, and then everyone was like, "Oh, let me like it's my turn to try that" kind of thing.
Do,
Um,
yeah, do you find yourself? I mean, is there is and it's okay. Like you can gatekeep your sources here if you prefer, but like, are there people that you reliably look at in the way that many people look at Rocky and go, "Oh, if he puts it on, or if she puts it on, or if that brand puts it on, it'll work for me. I'm going to try it."
um, Not really. I feel like I'm not someone who really looks to celebrities in terms of like style inspiration at this point. Like, there certainly was a time where like I would look at like people online and like I had like fashion YouTubers that I was following that a lot of them are I'm like friends with now, which is like kind of a cool little phenomenon as well.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
there's like that or like I don't know, some of the people who were maybe like brand owners or whatever else back in the day. But like I feel like right now, in terms of like style inspiration, it's like friends of mine who conveniently have a lot of friends that wear similar sizing to me. So it's like I get to like try things and like
Okay, got it.
do this, that, and the other.
Yeah, yeah.
But just like random strangers. Like I feel like the people who aren't necessarily trying to like throw a fit that just like look cool. I don't know.
Yeah. No, it's always interesting because like I'm a sort of I grew up skateboarding, but I am kind of a dyed in the wool preppy. Like that's my stylistic culture, right? Is what I was raised with, and so brands like Beams Plus, I always know there's going to be something in Beams Plus that I really fuck with because it's that weird Japanese twist on the American heritage thing. I but I don't know that there's anybody, with the possible exception of my friend Sean Joswick, who is one of the more stylish. Do you know Sean? He does the denim. He has a denim repair business and a denim line called Joswick, which you should check out. Anyway,
Yeah.
I'll send it. Anyway,
Yeah.
Joswick he's a beautiful man and he
Mm.
always looks amazing. But other than him, I don't know that there's anybody that I look at where I'm just like, oh, I want to be I want to look like that. It's much more in the realm of brands. And I am always curious because you've got almost a responsibility to look a particular way, much more so than I do. Yeah, where you draw that inspiration from.
I mean, I definitely there are like stores and brands that I feel like I can kind of like go to and like sort of rely on. I also like
Give us a
especially
couple. Come on, give us a couple. I'm not going to ask you. Not going to say all your secrets, but just a
well
couple.
from like a store perspective, like I do a lot of vintage. So like in terms of like non-vintage, I mean, one of my buddies, his name is Eddie. He runs like a page called Cuban Shop, which
Okay.
was like a very short stint in Chinatown. He had like a pop up, but then now he does like showrooms, like showroom visits, and like maybe he's still looking for a space. I don't know, but he kind of put me on to a lot of like it's mostly like Eastern Asian brands that he kind of carries, and then he does have like some older like archival stuff. But I feel like I mean the first time I went over and like saw his stuff, I think I learned about like 5 or 10 different brands and like
Nice.
many of them I'm like really tapped in with now slash like even like friends with some of the designers. People like Kazaburo, he's kind of put me onto that.
Okay.
Who's like he's local, he's from Japan, lives here now. Um, the styling that he does is like really, really incredible as well. And like even like today, Soshi Atsuki won like the LVMH prize like today.
Okay.
And he was carrying him for like since I've known him, which was like a few years ago now. So like
Oh, cool.
back when like no one was talking about it, and then now to see him like win this prize, I'm like he was very early to the game and like just put me onto a lot of stuff, which was cool.
Nice. Okay. So Cuban shop. That's right.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Cool.
And there's like I mean I
I'll
really
dig it
like
up for the show
vintage.
notes.
Like I feel like there's kind of an archetype of like true vintage store that exists that like, there's ones in Atlanta, there's ones in New York, I went to some great ones in Philly. They're all like, they have their differences, sure, but like we all kind of know what to expect. It's like, you know, flare bell bottoms, sort of like bootcut denim and like ringer tees and cool old leather jackets and, kind of the usual culprits in a sense. And like
Well,
that's kind of
I
the stuff
mean,
that
culprits for you, like that's not my universe at all. Like bell bottoms is, in particular, or like flares, evoke a very particular ick that
yeah.
comes from my youth, like from my
Yeah.
teen years, because that was the style of the generation or the half generation immediately before me. It's like the way that teens now would look at the way 20-year-olds dressed in when they were teens, right? Like you just like, well, anyway, sorry. Okay, so got it. Basically, long
Yeah.
story short is, if you're a denim company listening, don't send me flares. Just send me the straight ones. You can send Mark the flares. Send me
Yeah,
the straight.
send me the players if you got it. But yeah, no, there's that, and then there's like some kind of brands and stuff that I kind of gravitate to. I'm a big Craig Green guy. I like
Oh,
Kiko Satanov, and then like I don't know.
those. I mean, Craig Green in particular is complicated. Like that's fashion, and then there's other stuff happening, right?
Yeah,
Like, are you drawn to the complication? Are you drawn to the sort of flexibility of how that stuff could be worn? Is it just that nobody else has the balls to put it on, and so you stand apart in that way? Like, how does that?
I mean, I feel like at its core, like a lot of the fits are very like pretty standard. Like it's like a work jacket silhouette. It's just like this crazy fabrication and like strings hanging off of it and
Right.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
other. But it's like I think that kind of like represents my style in a lot of ways in general, where it's like I like wearing things that have like a little bit of like a flashiness or like interesting element, but like still kind of like subdued or can be like worn in a way that's like a little more simple as well. I'm
Sure.
not to like get into the belt already, but like I think that's kind of even where I come from. Like when like designing something, it's like I want it to be cool on its own, but then also like not completely take over an outfit when you put it on with other stuff.
Yeah.
So
Well, okay. So let's jump over to that for a second. So the collaboration, it's a belt collaboration with Maximum Henry, New York-based leather goods brand. It comes out on Friday at Cueva in Greenpoint. The party is between what, 6 and 9, 6 and 9, 6 and 8,
yeah,
something like
so
that.
Friday is just like kind of party, friends, kind of like that sort of thing. Saturday is like the all day pop up. I'm sure people will.
Oh, okay. My bad. I didn't mean to
Nah,
blow
you're
up
good.
the spot for Friday. Sorry.
But regardless, yeah, and then on Monday, the following Monday, we'll release it online, and there'll be like mostly a pre-order unless there's belts left over from the initial thing. But in general, besides like when Maximum Henry does wholesale, it's pretty much all just like made to order.
Got it.
So
Okay. So how does that? All right. So how did that conversation start?
what's funny is that it was supposed to just be a video. Like I wanted to just do a video with him on like touring the studio or like how to make a belt, and then like I guess weeks went on. He was like busy with something and like kind of just like lingered on the idea. And I was like thinking maybe we could make this more interesting. Like maybe it's a custom belt. And then I kind of took it a step further. I'm like, maybe it's a custom belt. And then we actually release the custom belt. And then we like kind of do this, that, and the other around it. Um, and I mean, he was down for it. He has worked with like another, I don't know if you know my friend Albert, another creator, um,
Albert.
Edgy Albert.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, yeah. So he did a collaboration with him like a while back. And like me and Max had like had little conversations of like if you ever want to do something, but I guess at the time I didn't necessarily have any sort of like pressing desire to like make a belt. And then like when this conversation started to happen later on, I was like, you know what? Like I think this could actually be cool and like kind of feels like the right time.
Yeah. So, and is this the first collaborative product that you've made and worked on?
It's not, but it's definitely, I mean, the only other thing I've done is like I've done jewelry collaborations. So like pretty much all of my jewelry that I wear is like collaborative stuff, but a little bit more niche. It's, I mean, for one, the collaborations with like one singular jeweler that hand mixed everything, and he's
Sure.
out in Australia, which is like, pretty difficult to like, even from like a monetary perspective, like there was no money to be made on that collaboration because it was just like very, very difficult to like with shipping from Australia and like dealing with all this stuff, like it was
Yeah,
just a
yeah.
very complicated process, which is fine. Like I was super happy with the product. I wear everything like every day, and like it was just cool to put something cool out there that I can like
Yeah, yeah.
look back on like years later and be like, that's a great product, and it still is. But I learned through that process that like jewelry is very niche and not every fashion guy is into jewelry. And that like fine jewelry or like the more expensive, like it wasn't even that expensive, but like I mean, the necklace was like 550, which I kind of like fought to keep the prices lower than what his usual prices would be,
Sure. Yeah, yeah.
but still recognizing that my audience, it's going to be a harder sell to get people to buy into a
Yeah.
$500 necklace.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, right? Like on the one hand, if you can convince somebody by hook or by crook, and that purchase becomes a gateway into a new appreciation for this category, like they
Yeah.
will never forget you. On the other hand, if you coax them into something that they then feel weird about afterwards, it's like
Yeah.
it hurts, you know? Like I've
People
talked.
did.
What's that?
I said, and people did buy it, and like they are still wearing it. Like I've seen people like
Oh,
still wearing
that's
it
awesome.
to this day, which that makes me happy too. Like I'm just terrified of like, as someone who used to work at a secondhand store, like I'm terrified of like seeing my product just like thrown in a bin for $20, you know?
Yeah, but it's gonna happen at some point. I almost feel like that's the we I have been talking a lot lately about life stage changes, right? Meaning like you graduate from school and you move out on your own and you move in with a partner and you change jobs or get fired, or you graduate from, or you do a degree, you get married, you have kids, et cetera, right? These life stage changes. For any designer, I would think like a big life stage change happens when you realize that something you made and loved is no longer made and loved in the same way, and you just have to go like, "Yeah, all right, keep it moving."
Yeah. And that did kind of happen with me. Like the very first thing I ever made was like this t-shirt that, I mean, it was just like directly inspired by this like vintage tee that I found three of at a thrift store, and it was kind of like a meme. And so like it was kind of like this like merchy meme kind of t-shirt that like it sold fine, and it wasn't like the worst thing ever, but like looking back, like I probably wouldn't have released it.
Sure.
And certainly there probably aren't too many people that are still rocking it, which kind of hurts. And I think that kind of was like the lesson going forward of like where I want to actually take stuff, like when I'm making a physical product.
Yeah. As a corollary to that, I read something recently, and I was having trouble finding the source the other day, but the that said it was a brand social manager in a brand talking about posting, and her take was, posted is better than perfect.
Mhm.
Getting back to your like publishing content, do you have a feeling like that? The- in other words, like how much fine tuning do you do before something is ready to go live, and how much are you just like
A
warts
lot
and
of
all?
it's just like posting it. Like I think like, I mean, certain videos will put more into it than others, I suppose.
Of course, yeah,
Like even like But even, like, the belt video that I made, like, I made a video of, like, basically showing the entire process of making the belt. That's, like, an important video, like, that's, like, the main video. That's the video that I was gonna make before I even knew that this collaboration existed.
sure.
Um, and, like, kind of one of the driving forces to, like, showcase this collaboration in the first place. But, like, I think Max was, like, really, really, like, worried about it and kinda wanting it to be, like, I guess, like, a little more calculated, whereas, like, me and my friend Sean, who helps me film, like, we literally just go in and, like, kind of freestyle it.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
And there's a lot of friends even of mine that, like, they have these kind of, like, serieses on, like, TikTok and Instagram or whatever, where it's, like, it is very, like, polished and stuff, and, like, I just don't think that I'm super capable of doing that. Like, I don't really come with a
It
script or, like,
Yeah, I was gonna say, in what way? Like, do you not have the patience for it? Do you not have the inclination for it? Do you
I just think it's like a realness thing for me. It's like I want
Okay,
to like it's like certain times like I don't even necessarily want to know like what it is you're showing me. Like when I do like the closet tour videos, for example, like sometimes I'll go and see the person and they'll like want to run me through it first. And I'm like, I kind of would rather just like you show me and I just kind of like react. Like I don't really want it to be this like kind of fake sort of interaction. Like I want it to be like the original, like my original reaction is like what the audience is seeing usually. Ooh, we got some connection issues. Hello, hello, hello. Ooh, am I still here? Hopefully he comes back. Here we go.
What? Did you stay live the whole time?
Yeah, you left me stranded in here.
Oh, good. Okay, so all right. So I'm gonna throw myself. I admit. So I got a D. I've never done this like in this way. I got a DM that I thought and probably was relevant to the conversation, but I
Yeah.
clicked on it assuming that we would be able to talk and I'd be able to reflect on it as we talk, and it took me out of the thing. So my apologies.
No, it's all good.
Mark, and didn't mean to freak you out. And Yolanda, thank you for the link, but don't send anything else while we're in the chat. Anyway, okay, so you were talking about like that you are being constitutionally uninterested in fine tuning. But I also like disappeared in the middle of you saying something. So what was that?
Just kind of like in general saying that like when I go and like do like a studio visit or like a closet tour, like, I like for it to feel to the audience the same way as it feels to me.
To you? Yeah, sure.
And like obviously there's editing and there's this, that, and the other, but like for the most part, like I think even from the designer's perspective or like whoever it is that you're shooting with, it's like oftentimes you're just gonna make them like more anxious and weird if you like come in and are like wanting to really fine tune it as opposed to just like letting them like kind of talk and like blab a little bit and you can always edit it down later. Like I'd rather someone say too much than too little.
Yeah, sure. This,
So
by the way, Yolanda, my wonderful source for the SIC newsletter from Lisbon, posted the link that I was talking about earlier. The post is better than perfect advice there from Rachel Carton's newsletter. Okay, so speaking of the closet tours, one of the things that I make money doing is consulting for brands, agencies, and publishers around identifying and building super formats, as I call them, right? But this is essentially just like the idea of a franchise or a format that can be executed repeatedly and can be taken across different platforms, is modular and scalable, essentially. To what extent do you think about like the closet tour as a franchise, the fit check as a franchise, the I don't know what, like the thrift store visit as a franchise, under like Mark Boutilier Inc. And to what extent is it just like, well, I feel like doing a closet visit, say?
it's a little bit of both. I mean, like the closet videos, it's like obviously I throw the little name Closet Crash on there. It's kind of, just something to like bring back. But like, I think what the idea would be like, I mean, I had like a short stint with a manager that I have like an agent, but I was doing like a short stint with a manager. Didn't necessarily like go forward with it, but like they kind of were like, oh, you can take this title, you can make another Instagram account, and you can be posting these like all the time, and like
Sure.
it'd be like the same way that like a Subway Takes exists or like any of these other like episodic series is, and like that all sounds like good and great to me, but also like it goes back to just like going off of vibes a little bit and like I'm not always, for one, those videos are very hard to like execute over and over and over again and like have it be interesting and also like not just like showing like mass consumerism. Like I like
Sure.
getting different like characters in a sense who can like showcase different things, like maybe a minimalist closet, maybe like a maximalist. I did the video with Friend and Dunn where it's like a sneaker collection.
Yeah.
But then also like the closet tour thing, it's like I've seen other people, like I basically had that series ripped as well. So like,
Yeah,
and I'm
for
not
sure.
the first person to do it either, so I can't like really get upset about it. But also like, I think it's sometimes like I don't want to necessarily be like the closet tour guy. I just want to be like I just want to be Mark, the
You
fashion
want to be
dude.
Mark? Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So
So So to that end, like there, like I think of many things on as a continuum between one extreme and another. Thinking of fashion, there is capital F fashion, which is inclusive of everything. It's the clothes we put on our bodies, right? And then there is capital F fashion. Did I say capital F before? I meant,
Yeah.
sorry, my mistake. I meant lowercase fashion, which is the clothes we put on our bodies, and then there's capital F fashion, which is the presentations and the shows and magazines and editorial and design and premium. Do you find yourself moving to one direction or another as you get deeper into the game and into the business?
I feel like I'm like sort of somewhere in between. I mean, like really early on, like I mean, like if I'm being like fully transparent, it's like I feel like I grew up like I mean, I was into clothes before this, but like in terms of like me really getting into fashion, it's like I'm like a grailed kid, you know what I mean? Like I'm like a
Yeah.
consumer at its core, and like I think that's good in the sense of like just relating to that sort of person. Um And it's like I do care about like some runway shows and like this, that, and the other, but like I have friends who are like have like they're like a human encyclopedia and like remember every little fine detail and like this season and that season and this was
Yeah,
shown.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm not that like guy. Like you can tell me a million times over and like I'm not interested and like I like retain some of it, but like I'm not built for like necessarily what some people kind of are with
Right.
that.
Yeah, you're not the human archive. Yeah.
Yeah. So even though I am interested in some of like the clothing and like, like the stories are cool and this, that, and the other, it's like I think I also just like value like real life experience. And that's why I like doing like a studio tour with a designer or like talking with someone who like maybe did have like a firsthand, interaction with whatever big designer. Like that's more meaningful to me than like, I don't know, like watching the runway itself or like reading up on it later.
Got it. Got it. I mean, still go to the parties, drink the drinks, see the people, all that
Yeah.
fun stuff, right?
There's so much like clothing in general out there now. It's like trying to like being able to like know it all is like very, very challenging.
Well, I mean, impossible and not the juice, not that's not worth the squeeze anyway. Like it's more right, figuring out what you like and what your point of view is
I think,
into it. So to that end, one of the things, like, this conversation is w- a reflection on all of the things that I collect and all of the sources that inform me. What are the sources that you go to for point of view, or I don't know what, to be up to date on shit? And that could be publishers, that could be individuals, that could be locations. I'm just interested to know, like, where it comes from.
yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is like talking like with friends and stuff, like whether it even be like, my friend Tanner who he works retail, he like sees a lot of the stuff firsthand, which is like interesting. I too just like go into a lot of shops and like kind of see like what's there and like talking to the employees, like what's hot, what are people like interested in right now. Obviously like I'm on social media. I consume a lot of social media and like whether that's the best place to look or not. We're all looking, and I think that's
Yeah.
kind of the fact of the matter. Um, so yeah, I
Right.
mean,
So,
kind of,
but I want you to get more specific. We've got Tanner as one, right?
yeah,
We've got Hoban Shop as another one earlier. Like,
yeah, like going into shops like that. I mean, like actually doing like the designer visits. I think that's like just an easy way to like see from like because like it's interesting to see from the perspective of like the person designing the clothes, and then like obviously if you're going into like a retail store, it's like you're seeing like kind of two ends of the spectrum,
the
like
way that vision gets interpolated into something else.
yeah, and I think as I've gone along, it's like I've met other people kind of in the process and like learned more, like whether it be like a model or like a photographer and like a lot of things that I almost, or even like an editor, like a lot of things that I feel like I didn't necessarily know what these things meant and like what all went into it. Or even like in the case of me doing this event and like kind of having to play a PR role, like there's a lot of like steps and like things that I feel like I thought I kind of understood, and like turns out I definitely do not at all. But I think that's like kind of what's interesting and like why I want to try and like try out all these different things, whether it be
Yeah,
clothes.
yeah, 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 of course. I mean, look, we're I'm not exactly, but basically twice your age. And I do this conversation for exactly the same reason. It's like I'm interested in what I don't know,
Mhm.
and in trying to interpolate some of that into what I do know. And there's no substitute for experience, right? Like we had a conversation at breakfast this morning with somebody who's a 27-year-old brand strategist in training, or an aspirational brand strategist, and he's just like, we were talking about using AI to get to conclusions, and it's a valuable tool, but there is no substitute for experience at all. And I think that's why we're seeing lots of this kind of like search for third place run club, events and pop up, like, because people want to, you have to feel it in order to really know it.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, there's like so much stuff that's like being put out all the time. And it's like, if I don't do this event and pop up and stuff, like, sure, people will see the belt, they'll see the video, like maybe. But it's like, I think in terms of like really kind of seeing the product and like being able to like feel it and like experience it in a sense, it's like, that's why, brands are doing events and like having people do like panel talks or like this, that, and the other, like activating different ways, is because like it's not necessarily enough to just like throw the product on a website and like
Yeah, of course.
invest. Even if
What
it does lead to sales, it's just not like, I don't know, you want people to like really be into it.
they have to, I mean, they need to attach some emotion to it. They have to like take away enough information that they can transmit that to somebody else and become an advocate for you. They have to, remind themselves in the future why something is important, right? Like,
Mhm.
what by the way, I wanted to ask you, because I had there's a story in Snobette yesterday about Costco as a end of the line for fashion brands. And what that means more so is just like, that's where they send their low price offerings or their diffusions, or, and because Costco marks up less than normal retail, it's that's how you get things cheaply there. Um, what that reminded me to ask was, is there anything in this world of small f or capital F fashion that you look at and go, I am not fucking with that, whatever it is, right? Like me personally, I will never ever fuck with Skechers, because Skechers doesn't do anything original, has never done anything original. The entire brand is based on copying. And
Yeah.
so, and it's not even that there aren't lots of other brands that do the same thing. I just, for them, they are the pinnacle of that kind of intellectual property theft, as far as I'm concerned, and style jacking, and I hate them, and so I will never do anything with them. Anything like that for you?
Are you kind of referring to more so like, I mean, obviously Skechers has been around for a long time, or like kind of like
No,
just
well,
after like
no, it could be like, I mean, it could be, it could be brands, or it could be, I'm never going to stop somebody on the street and ask what they're wearing, because that shit is so saturated in the marketplace. Like, just
yeah.
I'm just always interested to know what people's guardrails are.
I mean, like pretty much any fast fashion brand, like ones like Minimal or like Jaded London, I feel like are like almost worse than like a Zara or something like that, because they're so like, I mean, Minimal is kind of the same thing. It's like they're copying like archive slash designery streetwear, like iconic items, whether it be Chrome
Okay.
Hearts patch jeans or like Rick Owens Creech cargos, or like pretty much anything that has ever been popular on Grailed or the internet at all. Um, Obviously, like pretty much any of the fast fashion brands is kind of like an easy way to like, that's an easy one to be like, no.
Right. Okay.
But I definitely like steer away there. And then like even from like a newer perspective, like seeing like the Labubu thing and like bullshit like that, I'm just like, I think it's even worse when you like see a lot of these micro trends and like see like, I guess like fellow creators like consume each and every one of them, and then people still look to them as like this like style like
Right,
god. Like,
as a reference, or as a source, yeah. Which seems
yeah.
weird, because it's clearly just being influenced by
Yeah, and like you
the
can
moment.
like get brand deals and like do the influencer thing by like following the trends and like doing all that. But like I think in terms of like a long term like and just like a personal satisfaction thing, like it's better to, sit it out at least every now and then, like you don't
Yeah,
have
oh,
to
for
do every
sure.
single one of them. So
All right, so no Labubu, no fast fashion, no Labubu. Got it. Um,
I think the rep market in general, which obviously fast fashion is a lot of that, but like that's like another thing that's like pretty heavy on, especially like TikTok and stuff like that. It's like young kids just like doing these ridiculous rep hauls, and like that's kind of gotten out of hand as
do you,
well.
Do you feel like it's funny because like my daughter bought a pair. I'm not proud to admit this, but my daughter bought with her own money under her own steam a pair of Isabel Marant, whatever the sneaker is. Like you'll know the
Yeah,
name of
the
the
wedge
model.
sneakers.
Yeah, the wedge sneakers, exactly. And knowing my way around shoes a little bit, I looked at them. The quality is pretty good. I don't know whether they're indistinguishable. I don't have a keen enough eye for the Morant stuff. And I said to her, I was like, "Look, I don't like the fact that you have done this, but I also wasn't going to give you $600 to buy a real pair, and you did
Yeah.
this under your own steam as a let's say it's a learning experience, right?" Like, in your conception, is there a room for kids to do that up to a point or not? Or,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
I mean, I think that's definitely like, I mean, it's like a huge conversation, I guess, but like, I mean, I don't know how old your daughter is, but
she's 16.
okay. So I mean, it's like I feel like when you are like younger, it's like I mean, even when I was young, like I wanted to buy like these like Galaxy Kobe shoes that were definitely like fake, but like in my head, I even thought like there was a chance they're real, and I'm like buying them on some like random ass like sneaker website that I've never heard of, and I'm like, oh yeah, these are probably real. So it's like I get like you kind of have to like make those mistakes and like
Yeah.
do that and the other. But I think like even with like younger people, especially ones who are like getting really, really into like fashion and like understanding all these like brands and iconic items and this, that, and the other, it's like when you really like look, like you can actually find some of these items like secondhand for like the same price as like the rep sometimes. Like I don't like I
Yeah.
there's so many like really, really like crazy things that I've either found like thrifting or like for just like little to no money. Obviously being in New York also is kind of a cheat code in terms of like sample sales and just like
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
different things like that. Um, but like, I mean, I used to work at a Buffalo Exchange, so like even that, it's like I was constantly like searching for the steals and like kind of coming up there. But
Yeah. Well, no, I look, I think you're right about that. And it's also kind of getting in where you fit in until you can fit in someplace else, right?
yeah,
But trying to be I mean, to my mind, it's like what I hope for my kids is that they are disciplined about spending their money on the best things that they can get when they can get them,
I
so that
also
we
think
have
like
fewer, better stuff, right?
yeah, I also think kids are just like getting into a lot of this stuff like at an earlier age. Like it's the same way that like for me, it's like everyone at school had Nike Elites, but like now, like that might be the thing that people want the Isabel Marant sneakers, and like you know, it's a very different price point, but if that's what it is, then like I guess why
Yeah,
not?
well, and it's also there's mistaking what a New York City teenager born and bred is versus what a teenager anyplace else is, right? Like, hence the Costco discussion. I remember when I first came to New York, I'd get these trend reports from Faith Popcorn, and it would say teenagers number one brand is Prada, and I'm just like, what? I don't as like a 23-year-old with a first job making literally $13 an hour at a record label. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't how do these people know what Prada is? Like,
Yeah.
what but of course, that's a New York City thing, not a, you know, Yokel from Syracuse thing. So,
That's funny.
anyway, all right. Well, Mark, um, if friends and family event on Friday,
Mhm.
pop up on Saturday at Cueva in Greenpoint, and then Monday online release for the Mark Boutilier Maximum Henry special edition belt. Where what else should people be looking for you um, as we close out?
Um, I mean, yeah, the belt thing is definitely like come out on Saturday. Like I think it'll be a lot of fun. Like I'm excited. I'm also extremely anxious because it's like there's a lot of working parts, and we're kind of working to the finish line here, which is kind of scary as well.
Right.
Um, in like a world that I am not super familiar with. So shout out to Justin from Cueva. Shout out to Sydney, who's like one of the PR girls she runs
Right.
Sydney in the scene. And so like that's been like I mean she's been a lot of like both support slash like just doing a lot of stuff, that I couldn't fathom doing myself.
Right.
So it's like that's
It's
been
good to have a
very
team.
cool.
Good to have a team.
Yeah, and like there's been a lot of like friends and stuff that are helping out, whether it be like event photography or like, just helping pull people together. So it's definitely a team effort. But I'm excited. I think it'll be
Awesome.
really cool.
Well, you're gonna see me there. So anybody wants to come meet me, come hang.
There you go.
Um, all right. Well, listen, Mark, thank you for spending the time with me. This has been Sick Talks number 101, the return and our first ever Substack Live. Let me know what you think or what you don't think. I don't know. Let me know. Just give a
Just
shout. Say
anything.
hello. Just don't text me a link in the middle of the show because I'll get distracted by it and accidentally leave the conversation. Anyway, all right. Well, we've been talking to Mark Boutilier. Till next time, everybody. And Mark, thanks again. I'll see you on Friday.
See ya.
All right. Later.